Welcome to Totally Clutch, the Clutch Businesses podcast and vlog. I'm Angie Veman. Online businesses are all the rage, and for very good reason. If you've ever wondered what it's like to start an online business behind the scenes, our guest today, Nicole Caldwell, is building both a membership program and an online course, and is here to tell us all of the dirty details. So, Nicole is a really special coach. She works with both professionals and entrepreneurs to break through any blocks that they have to help make stress work for them and to build really profitable and successful businesses. Welcome to the show, Nicole.
Hi, Angie. Thank you so much for having me here.
Yeah, thanks for being here. So,
Okay.
do you want to tell us a bit about your background and the work that you do?
Absolutely. Again, thank you so much. I have close to 25 years of professional experience coming from the IT industry, where I ran major pursuits, big deals globally, and also ran strategic partnerships for some of the big tech companies. About 2 years ago, I decided it was time to take a break and wanted to kind of see what the next new adventure would be for me. When an opportunity came up to come in and coach a sales team, and absolutely loved it. I had been coaching in the corporate world for about 10 years, and a referral led to another referral, and so I decided to start a private coaching practice.
Great. And here we are now.
Here we are. Yes, definitely.
That's awesome. Cool. So you're building a membership program and an online course. And I
Yes.
guess I'm curious, where did the idea for the course come from?
Yeah, such a great question. So again, I've been doing pretty much one-to-one and corporate coaching for about 2 years now and had a private referral only practice. I knew that I wanted to bring the corporate lessons on, about starting a business, growing a business to more entrepreneurs. As I started working with a few entrepreneurs, it was really exciting to see them launch and to start off. And 2020 has been obviously a very interesting year, and we're seeing a lot of new companies start up. We've seen a lot of people decide to pivot, adjust their priorities, or sometimes because of need, they've decided to start businesses. So with that, I said, so many of them that have come to me for coaching, they need to get started fast, and they're not really sure where they need to start in building a business. So that was the idea for the course, to make it accessible to more people and to give them the foundation, not just the business side of it, but also the mindset side, which is so important when you're starting up a new business.
Yeah, and that probably allows you, I guess the intention is probably to handle the basics through the course, and then they still have the opportunity to deepen their knowledge and their growth with you one-on-one. And I guess that even allows you to work on a deeper level with people than you're probably used to.
Most definitely. So I've run this course in the past with, again, just a private practice, kind of referral only. This wasn't something I took out to the public. It was a much longer class, and it's my signature class. Um, we've run it from 8 to 12 weeks, and each week kind of focusing on a different aspect of building a business and building the mindset for for running that business. But what I kept hearing was, we need faster. I need now to prepare for the holiday season coming up, because that's a big time for me.
Mhm.
What I did was something that I had done in the corporate world before, is I took a longer course and kind of condensed it down into about 2 weeks. So we meet for an hour each day, Monday through Friday, and they're getting the high level of what they need to do to get started now. And it's great because it's an interactive session. So it's the opportunity, it's live, and it's the opportunity to ask questions right then and there without having to drag it out. And, they can't wait until the beginning of next year to be finished with a course. They need it now.
Yeah, that's great. And the focus is predominantly on the business strategy. Is that right?
Correct. So
Okay.
it is really getting clear and focused, starting off on what are your goals and intentions for the business. And that's where I've seen, even in starting out different divisions within the companies that I've worked for, the ones that have been successful had a clear vision of what they were trying to achieve. You would think that that would be just kind of a no-brainer, but a lot of times things just move so quickly that you kind of forget the basics. So
Hmm.
the course does take you back to the basics, and it takes you to what are we doing here? What are our goals? What's the reason behind the goals? We kind of start there. And then we grow past that, finding your niche. Who are you targeting? How are you going to do it? But then also looking at the mindset side is you've got to have a strong, powerful mindset to stay in the game. And that's a big part of the strategy for building a business.
That's great. I even find that I've found that with almost everything that I've done, whether it's business related or if it's a sport or some sort of activity that I'm growing an interest in. The deeper I get and the more advanced I get, I find it so refreshing to even the foundation is really important at the beginning, but I find it refreshing to even go back to that foundation and go back to the basics regularly just to kind of remind myself not only where I came from, but also the fundamental intention or principles of what I'm doing. So that's awesome.
Absolutely. And those things can change too. I know that one of my clients that I'm working with at the beginning of the year, pre-pandemic, we had, her sit down. She sat down and did her goals and her reasons why, and she had a game plan going. Pandemic hit, everything changed, priorities changed. So it's
Yeah.
good to revisit the basics of your business and of your goals, but also to see the progress you've made, but it also to decide what's working for you and maybe what's not and when we need to adjust.
Hmm. That's great. That's really so important. Cool. So will anybody be able to take the course, or are you going to be doing interviews or things like that to vet people?
That's a great question. So this one that I'm launching, because I wanted to make it accessible to a wider audience, where in the past it's only been part of my private referral group, and we did interview for it. This one I am launching next week, and so we'll have kind of a master class, a free one, for people to get a taste and a feel for what the course is going to be like, to make sure it's right for them, because I want people to actually utilize the materials in the course. So many times people sign up and they put it to the side. That's another great thing about it being live, is that they have the opportunity to participate real time, and so you don't miss a class. You can, if you need to later, listen to it recorded, because you'll have access to those for life. But yes, we will be launching publicly next week on this, so I'm really
That's great.
excited. Yes.
Yeah, congrats. That's so
Thank
awesome.
you. Thank
Yeah.
you.
So how long have you, I know that this is a condensed version of a longer program. So how long have you been developing the content for this particular course?
Right. So the signature program, I started about a year and a half ago as I started working with some venture capital firms that were looking at to launch some new businesses. And it was kind of this, let them come to me for some coaching. And I said, well, why don't we do it in a more group environment? So I put actually together a program for them. This condensed version actually came up over the last, I would say, probably 2 months, as I continued to get more and more requests, as I started putting my company out there, started gaining more social media presence and introductions and talking to different groups. I started to see that need. People were coming to me, and I thought, what can I do? How can I help them more? So it's been about a couple of months condensing this down to make sure that they get really great material that they can act on immediately.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I have to say that that's no small feat. I feel like condensing is actually harder than the initial build sometimes. You just want to
It's
pack it all in there.
it so is, because I love to over deliver. I want
Right.
many resources as possible. I get excited. I live for my client wins. And so I want to give as much possible, but at the same time, let's be realistic, because I don't want to overwhelm. That's the
Hmm.
thing. If they're going to sprint, I want it to be manageable. I want it
Yeah.
to be bite-sized pieces that are meaningful, that can make a difference, but again, not to overwhelm. Some people think, oh my God, I'm going to be putting together this massive thick binder business plan, and
Mm.
how we're doing it. Like, we're
Yeah.
getting basics, the things that you really need to get you going.
Yeah, that's awesome. Very coach-like of you too, to meet them where they are.
Yes,
So great.
absolutely. So important. And I think
Yeah.
that's where, this is a great opportunity for people who are thinking about starting a business, who have already started and kind of going, I don't know what's going on here. Maybe they just jumped right in and started selling or coaching or, training, whatever their business is, but they didn't kind of set the foundation in place. So it's a time to
Hmm.
step back. Or you might have been in business for a while and it's like, I need to hit the reset button. I need to go back to basics and see what adjustments I need to make this, more prosperous for me.
Yeah, I can see it being even really inspirational for somebody that's kind of on the fence about starting a business. They haven't really taken a lot of steps to do it, but to to lay out the strategy, I think sometimes can get you really pumped and really excited about all of the possibilities.
So true. And I'm glad you said that because I
Yeah.
think that a lot of people stop themselves from starting a business just because of that, because they
Hmm.
don't know where to start. I have some fear, I have some blocks. And sometimes it's just that, okay, I'm going to dive in, I'm making a decision, I'm going to take this course or I'm going to do this thing and we're going to get going. And I think too, the nice thing about having a course like this is you have a bit of a community, you have some supporters there and you see other people doing it and you're like, I can do it too.
Hmm. Yeah, totally. And then, so I guess piggybacking off of that, does the course or is the idea that the course will feed into the membership then?
Absolutely. So
Okay.
I love that what you said earlier about meeting people where they're at, and we're all on different journeys and we're all at different places. And sometimes it's very difficult because I've had a lot of clients say, well, why can't I be there? You can't compare someone's chapter one to someone else's chapter 20, right?
Hmm.
And the cool thing about getting a good foundation, it's great, it'll help you get started, but what do you do after that? And so that's where the idea for the membership, the society came in, is this gives you an opportunity for that next step. And it helps to meet people at different phases. The idea is to provide continuing support, to bring in guest experts on the latest and greatest because we want things up to date. Business is changing so much, social
So
media
much.
so much, right? So part of that also there's opportunity for group coaching and hot seat coaching, which I think is unique.
Mhm.
Some of the other programs or free communities that I've seen, this is something that it's an investment in yourself that is going to give you support, community, resources to help your business grow and to help you grow too. It's not all about business.
Yeah, and I have to say that that's something that I've learned to appreciate as an adult is the the importance of community. I mean,
Mm,
family and things like that have always been a value of mine, but there's something really amazing about sharing an experience and sharing challenges with other people and being able to talk about it and get feedback. And I think, Facebook groups are something that are kind of blowing up and becoming really popular. And there's something that I kind of resisted, or maybe resistant isn't the right way to say it, but I didn't really get it. I didn't really
right.
understand what the value would be. And I
Mhm.
love them. They're so incredible. I mean, that's actually, that's how you and I met. And it's such
Absolutely.
an incredible connection to have. So I think they're, yeah, I think the membership model is so awesome because that community is so important.
It really is, and it makes a difference.
Hmm.
And I think you're right. There are a lot of Facebook communities out there, some great ones to join. I was hesitant as well, to be quite honest, because it's like, so I don't know if I'm gonna do this or not. And
Right.
I'm so glad I did because that's how we met. And so I love that. I
Hmm.
think too, there's something to be said for getting into a group of like-minded, ambitious people that are they're go-getters that are wanting to make a difference in the world and for themselves. And that was part of my vision in creating the membership, based off of some experiences I had with masterminds, also with the Facebook community, the culmination of all of those things. I said, I want something like that for me, for my group, my clients. I think we can all benefit from that. and I will benefit absolutely too. That's what I'm
Totally.
looking forward to as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice to be able to see the conversations. So you'll be driving some of the conversations,
Right.
obviously, and all of that, but it's also kind of cool to see the conversations that naturally kind of manifest. And yeah, I really enjoy that part of it.
I think that's so important these days in particular is that sense of community. I mean, so many of us 2020 were sheltering at home. We're not
Hmm.
see friends and family. So, you know, thankfully it's not in the early 90s when we did not these means, right? So it's so nice to be able to do that and then to tap into a community where you can go in and ask a question like, I'm having a challenge with this. What would you do? Or I had a client say this. What would you do? And I know for me personally, that's been, a massive value for me to be able to do that, have great sounding boards. I also made some really good connections and friendships through some of the masterminds, like I said, that I've joined and through some of these Facebook communities too. So I'm kind
Hmm.
of, bringing masterminds can be anywhere from like a couple of $100 to
Right.
$100,000 on the level you're doing. And, the resources vary. The groups can be free. They can be paid memberships. But I think, bringing the brilliance of a mastermind where you're really getting some of the experts and that brain trust and a group of, trusted advisors, people who are like you coming together with that group and community, I think it's a magical thing.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. I'm excited. I'm really
Me too.
excited.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so we've talked about kind of the fluffy stuff. I'm
Mhm.
curious, what have you learned along the way, creating both of these, the course and the membership?
Yeah, so much, so much. It's one thing when you learn from somebody. So I've hired coaches, absolutely coaches need coaches, right?
Yeah.
And I have taken different courses as well. And it's kind of like being in school. Like it's great in theory, but until you roll up your sleeves and you get in there, what it's going to be like.
Yeah.
So there are things that I would say, oh, my coach Lisa did tell me to plan this, and this in advance, and I missed one of those steps. So there have been some learning experiences for sure. Definitely.
Hmm.
One of the big things that I would say is if you're going to launch something online, uh, plan it all out in advance. Make sure that you have everything done before you start to launch because you don't want to be writing emails and on week 2 when they should have been set out in 2 days or something. You want to make
Right.
sure you never know when things are going to happen. You're going to have technology issues. You're going to have family things come up. You never know. So get prepared is my biggest lesson that I learned off this launch, and I should know better.
Yeah, so you're saying basically don't wing it. Just
Right.
make it a complete package at the time of
Absolutely.
launch. And okay, that makes sense.
Absolutely. Get everything ready to go so that basically all you're doing is hitting send, right?
Hmm.
Or you have your email automation set up and it's going to launch on this date. You have it set on the calendar. Make sure you go back and test it and check everything. That's super important too. And a friend of mine, she actually, when she does her launches, she always does them on vacation. She makes sure
Oh,
that she's
interesting.
on vacation. And so that when she's going live on Facebook or Instagram, that she's at a major exotic, lovely location
Awesome.
or something, because she's done all the work in advance.
Hmm.
And it's like, okay, I get that now, right? Because for me, I've been in private practice. So I wasn't out there, doing Facebook lives or any of this.
Right.
So this is new for me. And I see, going back to, listening to my own lessons about setting a strong foundation, getting it set up. But also don't let it stop you. Just because you don't have everything figured out, don't let that stop you or keep you pushing back and pushing back. Because that's one thing that I see that a lot of people keep pushing back their launch dates because they're like, I don't know this. I don't have it all figured out. Sometimes you also have to just jump in there and
Hmm.
set some dates. Maybe you don't have it figured out yet. Everything is figure outable, as Marie
Yeah.
Forleo says. And so figure it out and just do it because sometimes the value also is going through it as a learning lesson.
Hmm. Yeah, that's great. That's been one of the biggest things I think for me starting a business is just getting comfortable with imperfection. So,
Yes.
I'm sure that you're in the same boat. You're so knowledgeable and you have so much to share. And you want that to come across in exactly the way that you want. And it's
Right.
really hard to let go of the fact that you don't have it carefully crafted or as carefully crafted. I mean, that doesn't, and I don't want that to sound like either one of us or not, or anybody building a business is not putting a ton of time and energy
Yes.
into the work and into the content and all of that. But there's there's so much, and it's hard not to try to be a perfectionist or not try. It's really hard not to be a perfectionist, I guess. And really what you do in that case is you silence yourself, and you've got all of this. You have an ability to make such an impact, and by focusing on the perfection, you're not sharing that with people. You're doing kind of the opposite of what you set out to do, which is so interesting for me to think about it that way.
That's so true. And I think, coming from the corporate world, there's very high expectations and heavy pressure, and perfectionism is, prevalent in that world. But one thing I think going out on my own, I've really learned, and I actually wrote it down and put it on a post-it note in front of me at my desk, is done is better than perfect.
Great.
Very difficult. It's you fight it. And the other day I was doing something. I'm like, I'm getting this out. I checked it for quick spelling and everything, but I was like, done is better than perfect, and
Hmm.
pretty good.
Yeah.
I was like, but it made me feel so good to get it out there, and I could move on to the next thing. Whereas before, I might have spent way too many hours just going through it and going through it, and it never getting out there. So
Hmm.
it's huge. And that's something I, have to talk to my clients about all the time, but that is something that I've embraced as well.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that's something I was curious about too. Is so as a coach building a business, you said that going back to the foundations and also, dealing with this perfectionism. Are there other things that you coach people on that you've found yourself either falling into or having to kind of coach yourself through?
Oh, that's such a good question. I've taken different coach trainings over the years. About 10 years ago, I did an executive coaching training program within the corporate world, and taken some others since then. And they always talk about synchronicity.
Mm.
I always thought, oh, that's really interesting. And again, it's one of those things, you learn about it, but until it happens to you, you don't embrace it. You don't really know it. And I find that a lot of my clients will come to me with an issue, and I'm like, wow, that's so interesting, because I find myself doing that as well.
Mhm.
You know, Building the foundation, that's another thing that really led me to really wanting to help people that are getting started, the solopreneurs, the entrepreneurs, small business owners, direct sellers who are trying to start another stream of revenue. Is when I started this business, I actually was on vacation. I had taken some time off, like I said, from the corporate world. I was on a trip. I think I was in Australia at the time.
Oh, wow.
A call from a former colleague who's we've stayed friends. And I said, thanks, I'm not interested in a job right now. I'm actually getting ready to go to the beach. And he said, no, I'd like you to come in and coach my team. And I said, I've done it in the past. I'd love to. That would be great. So, we made plans for when I came back, and then it led to a referral and then to another thing. And I had to take a time out and say, I'm doing this consulting work here and there. I'm actually starting a business. So I took a step back and had to build a foundation, right?
Hmm.
My business and do the whole thing. And that was also something that helped me when I designed my signature course, the Foundations First course. And so I find myself going back and revisiting my goals, revisiting those foundational things on a regular basis. Um, and again, I think, as I said before, in coaching some of my clients, some of the challenges that they have are the perfectionism, slowing down to speed up, right? Because sometimes we do need to take a step back. And not being busy, right? And making
Hmm.
sure that the activities you're doing are taking you towards your goals. So
Yeah.
those are some of the things, sure, that are definitely lessons that I've had to say, oh, I'm guilty of doing that. I need to step back and take my own advice.
Yeah, that's great. That's so awesome. Cool. So where can people find your course, find out more information about you?
Yeah, absolutely. So strategian.com, and you'll see that on here. This is my website, my business, and it's all about breaking through, like you said, the blocks that we have, building the strong foundations. And I also deal with a lot of stress issues with my clients. So learning how to make stress work for you. You can jump on there and get on the VIP list, and you will be also getting advanced notification of my upcoming course and the membership when it launches. When it launches, it'll be, we'll have a founders opportunity for those early adopters who want to come in and get in on the ground floor. So that'll be really exciting, and that'll be in the next about 2 months after our course ends. And so we're really excited about that. Our course, the promo opens up on the 14th, and we'll start class on September 21st.
Okay, cool. And are the classes once a week or?
They're 2 weeks straight. They're an hour each day, Monday through.
That's right. Okay.
And they'll be recorded. So they are live interactive video sessions, but they will be recorded. So if you can't make the time, that's okay, because it'll be posted that day and you can catch up. Plus you have it to revisit for life, which is always great. As you said, sometimes you got to go back and revisit the basics. So it'll be a great resource for you there.
Awesome. Great. Well, thank you so much, Nicole, for sharing such incredible insight. I mean, I think for anybody that's starting a business, for anybody that's in the same position that you are, building a course or a membership site, I think it was really helpful and inspirational and insightful. So thank you so much.
Angie, thank you so much. I really appreciate having me here. I love everything that you're doing. So
thank you. Thank you. Cool. And then for anybody listening that is, still uncertain about what kind of business they might see themselves in, we've got a quiz on our website. You can go to clutchbusinesses.com/online biz quiz and answer a few questions. It's kind of fun, but also informative. So and tons of different options. So don't think that it's a quiz that that's been heavily curated by me to only offer a few options. There's, I think, 20 different possibilities for an online business that would come out of it. So yeah, thank you so much, Nicole, and thank you for anybody listening and watching. And I always want to end this by saying that I believe in you and I believe in your business. To have a successful business, it often feels like you have to sacrifice having a killer life. And most of the things that you spend your time doing throughout the day have nothing to do with why you started a business in the first place. I'm Angie Veman with Clutch Businesses. I work with passionate female entrepreneurs who are solving amazing problems in the world. I take them out of their operational abyss into a place where they have more free time and greater fulfillment in their lives.